Hello, 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 and welcome to Feature Friday for August 4th, 2017. I'm so excited today because first of all, I'm very fortunate that a lot of people want to show up and share their message and be a trailblazing leader and help other people. It always comes from a heart-centered place. But this week is extra super special for me because I am organizationally challenged. And today I have with me, I know Sarah has not called herself the organizational guru, at least not that I know of, but I proclaimed her that in a Facebook post today, and I'm owning it because Sarah, you are amazing. Sarah Ankney, everyone. She is. Tell me the name of your business again.
It is Sweet and Sassy Organizational Styles.
Great. Now, Sarah, and I knew that, but I like for you to say it because I think it always has more power when you say it. Like, I'm Debbie Pace with Blazing Boys. It's very different than you saying, and Debbie is with Blazing Boys. And right. So it's always more powerful when you get a chance to step up and own yourself and what you do. So Sarah, I've known you for a while and I've been following your organizational stuff. And I think you're absolutely amazing. And Mark says hello, by the way.
Hello, Mark.
Hi, Mark. So normally I start out and I tell everyone who's on the show, and then basically I'm tossing it to you because no one can tell us what you do and what makes you an amazing trailblazing leader like you can. So Sarah, take it away and tell us what makes you so amazing.
Well, first off, I just want to say that thank you for having me on. I appreciate it very much. But I started my business 5 years ago, even though it wasn't launched. I started it because I was in a very bad place. So I decided that, I need to get up, get moving, get motivated. And I motivated myself step by step to get my house clean, to get myself organized. And I went from there. Many of you may not know that I am a radio DJ. So I often am on radio. So I was like, okay, if I could do this, I could do everything else. And I just was like, let's just go for it. Seriously, I had not planned to actually launch until December. And I was just like, let's just go for it. So this is exactly what I do. I write a blog, but I also connect with people and help them get organized, whether it's their business, their home, their time, because that seems to be the biggest issue is time management for people. And I work with them and motivate and support them and give them a personalized action plan because not everybody is the same on their needs. One person might need more time with their family. One person is like, I'm just too overwhelmed. I don't know where to go. One person might be involved in several businesses and not sure how to balance it. So I help them do that. But the point I really, really want to make is if you don't do it yourself, if somebody comes in and says, organizes your house, sets your schedule for you, you're just going to go back to the old way it was. It's not going to be the same. A month later, it's just going to go back to the way it was. You have to train your brain to
That's a great point.
Positively.
Yeah, that's a great point because how many times have we seen even ourselves when we clean out a closet or we organize a room and then a few months later it is right back to the way it was or worse because we didn't realize that it was creeping up on us and now it's a pigsty and we don't know where to start, right? So it's almost like when you work out and you build muscle and you're losing weight, when you stop, you're going to lose all of that momentum and go backwards. And it's like starting from scratch all over again. So what do you do in your work, Sarah, that helps people break that pattern?
Well, when I work one-on-one with a client, I tend to first talk to them, get to know them a bit about them because, background helps. Because sometimes when you're disorganized, it is more about you've had a physical ailment or a mental ailment, whatever, that is going on that has caused you to be that way. And some it's just, you just never got organized. You just didn't have those skills. So I really work one-on-one and I gather what they need and I motivate them. So I check on them throughout the week. I got my very first client the first week I launched and she has done amazing things. She is awesome and she did not know where to start. It took her a little bit to get started, but once she got started, she kept going. In fact, she organized a closet that wasn't even on the list of stuff she wanted to do.
So when you take care of stuff, it actually frees you up to do more. So instead of where you're looking at, okay, I have to tackle this list, it's almost like once you get that momentum, you get more energy, right? Because aren't these also the things, Sarah, do you see this in your work, that these are the things that make people feel overwhelmed and tired and depressed, and they don't know where to start, and all the energy is it's just so oppressive?
Yes, because that's how I started doing. I was like, I have bipolar. So I was so depressed for so long. My house was cluttered. I felt like I was paralyzed, that I couldn't move. I'd be like, okay, I got to get this done today. And I had a huge list. And I look at the list and I'd stop. Because I just was like, this is too much. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to begin. So sometimes it's just people need what I call a little kick in the butt to get that motivation and support. And sometimes you don't have anybody to help you along and support you. Just even if, hey, I had a bad day, can you give me 5 seconds to talk because I'm feeling really overwhelmed? So sometimes that's all I do with somebody, is just help support them in whatever they need supported with. Now, I'm not a therapist, but I've been where some people have been, that, I have insight into things that maybe somebody else doesn't, that hasn't been through it.
Right. And that's what actually makes you a good coach. It's not about being a therapist, because a lot of people really just need someone who has tools to take them where they need to go and has actually already gotten there successfully, which is a lot of times how we actually get the tools. So I have a question for you. Have you always been organized?
Okay. For 20 years, I wasn't. I admit it. Like when the bipolar hit really bad, I was in college. So I didn't even finish. I had 2 classes to go and I didn't even finish. But up until then, yes. I mean, my notes were color coded. Yeah, I color coded notes. I color coded index cards because I was a science major. So there was a lot of information. It's not necessarily like others. So you have to color code. Okay, I need to know this for physics, and these are the equations. These are I always color coded stuff. I've always had a planner, whether it was a notebook myself or I went and got one. I've always had storage stuff. I've collected storage stuff over the years. And a quick tip on that, if you have storage stuff you don't use, you don't like anymore, get that duct tape or get some paint and redo it. That way you're not going out and spending a lot of money. You're just redoing something you already have.
Wow, that's a great tip.
Because I know I have stuff laying around that I'm like, oh, it just bores me. I can't handle it. I don't want to see it. So I think it's a great idea. Just throw some duct tape on it, put some freshness to it, and it might help you. Because a lot of times people also feel stuck because their whole area is cluttered. So it leaves the clutter in their mind. Once you start moving stuff out, you start getting to where the issues actually are. And that helps. Because sometimes it's just you are grieving. You don't want to, you're grieving for the loss of somebody and you have all their stuff and you can't get it moved because you're just like, I'm so afraid to let go of it.
Right. So I'm interested in moving on to the conversation about kids. And I realize that not everyone, okay, first of all, I'm not going to move on just yet because I saw Mark had a question pop up. And for those of you who are joining us, say hello, let us know you're here. Ask any organizational questions you have, or if you've actually overcome something and maybe you have a tip, also feel free to share it here because this is a 2-way conversation and we'd like for it to be a 3-way as well. Yes. And so please always feel free to drop in questions or comments. We love the interaction. So Mark says, I am a pack rat. Please help me. I can attest to this. Okay. I'm telling you, that man, because that's my husband, by the way.
I figured.
And so me nagging him isn't good enough. So he has this thing, and we recently moved. It had an interstate move. So keeping everything like the DOS printer that he had in the attic was no longer an option. And I think we took like 2 probably 25-foot driveways full of stuff to the dumpster, had garage sales, gave it to Goodwill. I mean, we did everything we possibly could with this stuff. However, we still have boxes and boxes of things in our garage that the kids haven't used in years, that I'm sure will not use. And now it's probably fried and stuck to itself because it's Florida. So give Mark and other people in this community some help. And how do you start? Because I think just knowing you've got years, I mean, we're talking probably 4 decades or more for some people who will be listening or watching this. So how do you start that process?
Okay. What I did, and this is the absolute truth, I took it one box at a time. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, one box at a time. Now, sometimes I got more than one box done, but when you feel overwhelmed, just doing one starts you off. I have another client that her garage is full. So what I told her to do is get one box and you have 5 different piles. And a lot of people don't understand about the piles. So I'm going to explain.
Can you say that one more time because you were breaking up just a little bit?
You have 5 piles. So I always say put these in 5 piles and think about it as you're doing it, as you're going along. So the first is, of course, the keep pile. This is stuff that you're definitely going to use. This is stuff you want to definitely keep. The second is the trash pile. I totally get it that you're emotionally tied up in your crap because I kept my mom's stuff after her death for the longest time. And all it does is sit there and collect dust. It's not doing any good. So the second is the trash pile. This is stuff that's either broken, and I always tell people, if it's broken, it's not fixable. Don't hold on to it. The third is the giveaway pile. It's stuff that's still usable, but say you don't want to hold a yard sale, just take it to charity. Once you get, say you have a box of it, once you get it full, you take it directly to your car, and the next day or later on, take it to the Goodwill directly because you'll think about that pile and want to keep it. Mm-hmm. Fourth is selling pile. So say you want to have a yard sale like you did. Not everybody takes that option. So that one's kind of one of those, if you want to do it because you just think about all the nice stuff you could get if you sell it. Like you could buy one thing you've been waiting to buy if you sell what you have.
Yeah, well, that's an option that makes me want to poke my own eyeballs out. I'm just going to say that right here because we've done it a few times. And once I tried putting, I think I just spit on myself. I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm like slobbering all over myself. I have done a few yard sales and garage sales, whatever you want to call them. And I don't know the difference personally. If anybody knows the difference, feel free to pop it in. But
I think they're the same, honestly.
I know. It's like, you're not really coming in my garage. So it's all a yard sale. I mean, what do you call it? A driveway sale? I don't know. Maybe that's an option too. Anyway, so I've done so many and I did one where I tried to put prices on and everyone is like, you know what? How about this? How about that for the price? And I'm thinking at this point, I just want it all to go. So I did the next yard sale with no prices. I said, what do you want to give me for it? Because I wanted it to go. Whatever it's worth to you is probably a great price because if I'm selling it, it's not worth that much to me anymore. I've done what you did and put it in different piles, in the sell pile and the keep pile. And I have so many questions for you, Sarah. I think that's why I'm slobbering all over myself because I'm just like, wait, I've got so much to ask you. Neil's joining. He's tuning in between calls. Neil, if you have anything about organization or you find yourself getting cluttered in certain spaces, please feel free to drop in a question. Mark's getting pretty vulnerable in here talking about being emotionally tied to his crap. And that brings up a really great point too, which is when you are looking at, I can't get rid of this, I can't get rid of this. And by the way, Sarah, I did a massive closet clean out in January. And that was so difficult because when you look at just clothes, you're looking at, I don't know any woman, and maybe there's 10 somewhere in the world, who are the exact weight that they want to be or the exact shape or whatever. And so there's always you have like these levels of clothes and it's okay. Well, if I gain more weight, I need to keep a couple so that I don't have to go buy new clothes. And then once I lose those 10 or whatever more pounds, I don't want to get rid of those really cool like designer names, right? Because I don't want to go out and buy them again. So you keep those and you want to keep these and then you have this selection over here. And I found that it was such a freeing process to say, no, stake in the ground right here. if I'm going to get thinner, I'm going to buy new clothes. B, if I'm going to get heavier, I'm going to buy new clothes because I deserve it. And so for me, it was about wiping out a scarcity mentality of not wanting to spend another, 10, 20, 50, whatever dollars. And so I think if you can, with everything that you're throwing out, and when Mark was talking about being emotionally tied to the crap, and I'm sure that a lot of people have that and that you come across it. And I know you said you're not a therapist, but I'm sure you work through a process with people. Do you get them to points where they actually feel good enough to let go? Like, is there a discovery process for your client?
Okay. So I didn't get to talk about the fifth option. And this is where the fifth option comes in.
Okay.
The fifth option is a box of stuff you're not sure if you want to keep. This is like mostly the emotionally tied stuff. Okay. So, and I got a few more tips involved in that one too. But so say your grandmother left you a clock. Okay. And often these are hideous things we would not put in our house. Okay. But you feel bad for getting rid of it. You really do. So you put it in the box. So today is, August 4th. So February 4th, you write the date February 4th on it. You mark it on your calendar. And if you have not touched anything in that box, even just to look at it as a memory, you need to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's a great one. I think some people just need that keep or toss. And I have to do that because as soon as you told me I had a maybe pile, I was like, well, everything's going into maybe pile because I know me.
The other thing is I always tell everybody, if you have, like, I don't know about you, but I've gotten gifts of clothes and stuff like that I personally would never, ever, ever wear. I don't know how many people, or something you've gotten for your house that you would never use. Mm-hmm. That you have sitting somewhere because somebody gave it to you and you feel bad. Re-gift it.
That's a great one. Yeah, that's a great one. And from a coaching perspective, feel free to kindly either tell the person not to bring it, because this is actually something that I had to do, where there were people who were giving me their old knickknacks that had collected dust in their house for 12 years, and they bring it to me. Basically, I'm their trash collector because they can't get rid of stuff themselves. And so I find that, and this is something that maybe people who are listening to this might go through, if they do decide to start giving away things, gifting them, they might run across this where someone like us is organizing and trying to get rid of all the things that don't fit, and you're looking for people to give it to. So I think it's so important too to have your own boundaries. So if you do find yourself in that scenario where someone is trying to give you things, you know what works for you, because otherwise, right, things just keep collecting. It's a cycle and stuff will go around. Yeah. And Neil said his mom keeps everything, but he said he's learned to take a nice photo of the thing that he's holding on to, then he can get rid of it, sell it, donate it. Yeah, because he has the photo. So if it's the memory that we're tied to, then that's absolutely an awesome thing to do, is take a picture or to do something that involves it. So like if you collect candles and you're overrun with candles and you love them all, and let's say, okay, so my mom and I made candles this one time. And I have candles that even through the move just kind of melted in their bins and did nothing with it. But I didn't want to let go of it because this was a great day. My mom, my sister, my daughter, and I were all making candles. But if you take the moment, maybe burn one candle and have the memory and maybe do something like my daughter, we like to do, I'll have like wine or something like that. And she'll have a little, her spritzer, her little sparkling cider, whatever, and we celebrate, we make a new memory out of it. And so it's something you can take pictures of. And I think that's a really great idea. I love that. I think I have some candles to go burn.
One of my clients, she's had a teddy bear that her dad gave her.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, he has passed. And she's like, I know I need to get rid of this, but I just can't. And I said, take a picture. When you put it in an album, make a scrapbook or whatever you had to do, write the best memory about that right beside it. And then you're holding on to that memory, but you're not, over time, stuffed animals, degrade. They, just, it's not good to hold on to that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she's taking pictures of stuff as she goes along so that she can, especially like, as a mom, it's hard to get rid of your kids' stuff. I don't know about like artwork. Like the kids would bring home artwork. I tell you what, my house would be full of artwork. Yes.
I'm surrounded by, I'm surrounded by my kid. Look at this. And I keep my favorite ones, and these are my kids. Oh, it was from kindergarten. Now my kids are going into 7th and 5th grade. So, but I keep the ones that are special. And I think that that's something that other people can do too. And I know that, they're going to come home. I'm about to talk to you about the organization stuff for school because I'm chomping over here wanting to ask you questions about it. But I want to close up this conversation because I think it's really, really important. And so I know that you have some great organizational tips for how to select which ones to keep, right?
Right. I always say if it's something that you wouldn't display in your house, I say with one person, like for my mom, I picked one thing that I would display in my house that was hers, that meant a lot to me and her, and kept that. Exactly, Neil. Take pictures. You can always take a picture of everything and put that somewhere. And with the digital age, it's not like you even have to print it out. It can just be on your computer and be under like a specific file.
Yeah. Like your vacation pictures.
Right. So I always pick like one thing. And sometimes I say two because like it just depends on the person. Like with a mom, it's a little bit closer. Grandma, not so much unless they raised you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I tell them, you have pictures. You have the memories. The memories are always going to be there whether you have the item or not.
Right. Okay. Well, I think those are great tips. And I love the display idea because you can see I display the things that are important to me. And I have one plastic bin of papers and things, report cards, certificates and stuff like that. But it was definitely a process. My husband will tell you, I was overwhelmed for a while, just with papers all over the place because at that time they were in pre-K and preschool and you just don't want to throw anything away because fingerprints and handprints and footprints are all over everything. And you're like, I can't throw anything away. So, that's a great idea, Neil. Neil said he makes her art his desktop on his laptop. And then that way she can come in and see it too, which is really, really neat. That's a great idea. And I think if you can do that and then your kid or kids, I say kids because I have 2 children, but if they come through and you've got your desktop on a what do you call that? Like it scrolls.
Slideshow.
Yeah. And it scrolls through the artwork. How cool it would be for the kids to be able to see that it's not just the other kids' artwork. Because I deal with that a lot. They got this or you showed that. And so mine's not as good. And oh my goodness, don't even get me started. But anyway, I think that's a great, great topic. And I'm sure that people can learn a lot more by going over to your page. You want to drop it in right now? Tell us where the best place to find you for tools like that.
Okay. I'm going to actually put it in my group because the group is where I drop most of my good stuff. Let me grab the link.
Okay, so you're choppy again on your headset a little bit.
I don't know what is going on. I wonder if the internet's just being one of those days. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's weird. It could be live, even though they're charging now, so I don't know if they're still in beta testing, but who knows? Who knows what happens?
Yeah. Let me paste that in there.
All right. So I want to start wrapping up a little bit here because it is close to 12:30 and I know people have places to be and some are doing lunch hour and stuff. So I wanted to ask you though, paperwork for the school year. Can we just have a moment of silence for school year paperwork?
Oh my God. The amount of stuff you have to fill out in the beginning is insane. Insane. But what I say about the paperwork for the beginning of the school year is get one of those plastic file bins. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. And I put each kid's name on one for the important papers. I put their awards in there, folders with their awards, anything I need to hold on to. Thank you for being here, Neil. Anything you want to hold on to, I put in there. Because sometimes we end up holding on to stuff, like especially high schoolers. Mm-hmm. They have syllabuses and rules for each class and all this stuff. So I started making her responsible for those important papers because they really belong to her and not me. They should be on my desk. So as they get older, you can start giving them more of the responsibility.
Yeah.
And it's really important for kids to learn organizational skills, or they're not going to be able to do it themselves. So that's why I'm doing a webinar on that. But it's also more than that, because as I don't know about you, it's harder and harder to get kids to sit down and do homework in a spot where they're not listening to the TV or anything like that, or you're on the go. So I think create a homework station that is mobile, so that you can, they have a space, because it should be a space whether it's quiet or radio.
Yeah, that's a good one. Your audio is pretty bad right now. I have
no idea what's going on.
I know. I can still make out what you're saying. Do you have another headset that you can plug into your audio jack, just to no earbuds or anything?
No, I can't wear earbuds because they fall out of my ears.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to think. No, wait. One more headset. Where'd it go? I just had it. The one I use on my phone.
So, I had a question for you around the, like, if you had any main tips or hacks that you found to be useful as the school year starts, and I don't know, maybe avoiding the frustrations. I mean, we're pretty fortunate here in that we have a very established homework routine, and so we typically don't do much until homework is done. So I just think things have fallen pretty well like that for us. But I know that everyone's not like that. I love the idea of the mobile homework station too, because I remember my son would just bring his books to my daughter's dance class when we had to go, or gymnastics. And, typically they bring a book and stuff, but I think as you get older, that's probably more of a challenge. What do you say are, like, if somebody had to do, if there was one thing where you say, you know what, this helped me so much with my kids, with school, or this is something I did, like photocopying a page to re-photocopy or something, what can you tell us that would help with, like, the best organizational tip you can give us for the school year? I can't hear you. There's no audio at all. I'm sure what you're saying is absolutely phenomenal, and it's like stuff that we don't want to miss. Can't hear you. I cannot hear you at all. That's some of the challenges with running this Be Live audio sometimes is that, and it might not be you, Sarah. It could very well be Live. So it happens sometimes. I've actually been talking and had guests just disappear on me and just totally drop off. It knocks them off. And, it does happen sometimes. I cannot hear you at all. So it's okay. It's I think it's so funny because when I had you on as a guest and I was so excited thinking about it, I was really excited to talk to you about the school year stuff. But I always trust that the message goes where it needs to go. And I think that talking a lot about the emotional connection to clutter and baggage was really, really important, because I think it's something a lot of people may not realize. If you look around you, and God, please don't look at my desk, but if you look around you, you will notice that there are places in your life that get cluttered, and there's usually a message in that. So I'm going to take a deeper look at what my desk clutter message means. And, and I think that the message goes where it needs to go. And so hopefully people who were able to listen to this can get a nugget from it and maybe just elevate their lives a little bit. Sarah, are you back yet audio wise? Do we have you? Nope. No audio. It's not a setting in your computer that resets when you plug in your headset. And your headset's on, right? I don't know. Okay, because I'm not saying that I have been guilty of having a microphone that's off during an interview, but I'm not saying the contrary either. So if we can't get you back, Sarah, it's okay. We'll wrap it up. we can always drop in your you already put in where they can find you in your group. And so if there's anything that you have, I know you have a challenge going on, and I saw that you did post, make a post about it here in the group today. So if you want, and we can't get your audio back, I can't hear you. Okay, I can't hear you. So if you want and we can't get your audio back, you can just come back in and tell us where we should go to find you. And if there's any other tips that you came up with based on the interview that we didn't get to answer, you can drop them in as well. All right, we'll try one last time and see if we have you. If not, we'll have to knock it off and then follow up with some follow-up posts. Nope, all gone. It happens. It happens. That's the joy of the Be Live. And technology. I'm blaming Be Live. It could be Facebook. It could be a number of things. So who knows? Who knows? Well, I mean, Sarah, it's been amazing talking to you today. I learned so much from you. I think it opened up a conversation that was really, really important that a lot of people needed to hear. And if you have any last hacks or tricks for the school year, please feel free to share them too, because I know it's very timely and relevant for those of us who have kids going back and are dreading just the paperwork nightmare alone, much less the logistics of 2 kids at 2 schools. And I don't know, what do we have now? Like 1 kid, like 8 different teachers. And yeah, it's just a mess. It's a mess trying to get that back. But I know that you have tools that make it less messy and less chaotic for people like me who could use a little bit of help. So Sarah, I just want to thank you so much for coming on today. I can see you there. I know you want to talk to me. It's okay. I can feel what you're saying. You're going to telepathically give it to me. No, we have a chat. We have a chat message here too. So if there's anything that you want to say, okay. So your next webinar is on getting a smoother transition for the school year. And is over in the group a good place for them to connect with you? I know that you did make a post. You can always connect to that through this thread as well. Any last words before we head off? Okay, and they can private message. So if you are interested in working with Sarah, finding out more about how she can get you to get your organizational shit together, please feel free to send her a private message, join her group, and see all the amazing tools and tips that she gives. And then if you have any questions, you can follow up as well. If you have questions, you can also post them in the thread here. And Sarah is very active in the group, so she'll come back and she'll answer them for you. So if there's nothing else going on today, Sarah, last attempt to hear you. Nope, we have radio silence, my friends. All right, so we're heading off. Thank you so much for being on today, Sarah. And for everyone watching both live and the replay, I want to thank you very much for participating and for being a part of this amazing conversation. So until next time, check out Sarah and have an awesome, awesome day, guys. Take care. Bye.